Hi, everybody, and welcome to our session from Analyst to Impact Player, Developing the Next Generation of Market Research Talent. I'm Quirk's editor, Joe Ridholm, and before we get started, just a quick housekeeping note that if you'd like to interact with other attendees during the presentation, you can use the chat tab to submit your comments and questions. The session is presented by Quest Diagnostics. Enjoy.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, Ilana and I are going to share a story with you, and this story is on developing the next generation of market research talent and how we, as market research leaders, can support those who are new to our industry and how we can move to be greater impact players in not just only our industry, but also in the future of their careers. So, hi, my name is Tina Nathanson, and I'm the Director of Market Research and Customer Insights at Quest Diagnostics. And I bring a diverse background of both corporate and agency side market research. And here's
Hi, everyone. I'm Ilana Rosen. I am a senior analyst at Quest Diagnostics. I've been with the company for over 3 years, and I started originally as an intern.
So we're going to be going back and forth in our story today, hence the tennis theme. So welcome to the match.
Today, I'm going to walk you through my story, which is just one example of many early career talent employees. So as I go through this, think about how other employees, potentially your own, might be able to benefit from hearing about the story and might be able to relate to my experience. And then think about how you can continue adding value to their career. So like I mentioned, I joined Quest on the market research team as an intern. By the fall, I transitioned into the marketing leadership development program where I supported the health systems marketing team. In this program, I worked on our hospital executive marketing initiatives. By the winter, I was promoted to senior analyst and rejoined the insights department. Throughout my time on this team, my responsibilities expanded, which included managing our brand tracker and leading our internal research community, Quest Voices. I also took on additional learning and development opportunities, so I began the Principles of Market Research class through the University of Georgia, which I've since completed. And also, I recently joined the Young Professionals Employee Business Network as the Community Outreach Chair, where I organized a company-wide blood drive at our headquarters. As we go through this presentation, you'll see how just like in tennis, developing early career talent is all about reach, agility, and playing the long game. So let's begin the match. Today, you're going to hear both of our perspectives from me, the employee, and Tina, the manager, on the importance of developing your company's talent pipeline. We'll start with the game, and we'll go through what it is that Gen Z employees want and expect from their team. We'll move on to the set, discussing specifically which skills can help develop their career. And then finally, we'll conclude with the match, which discusses how all of this benefits both the manager and employee, but specifically how it helps with employee retention, ultimately helping us win. So let's start the game. Just to set the scene, this is some information on why this is so important and timely. There are currently 50 million Gen Z employees in the United States, and over 17 million of them entered the workforce in just the past 2 years. And finally, 30% of the US workforce will be Gen Z by 2030. So it is really critical that our personal and professional development is prioritized.
So as Ilana just mentioned, there's millions of Gen Z entering the workforce. And to be honest, we really can't expect this early career talent to become a high impact player or a high impact insight player overnight. It takes practice, right? And skill development. Technical skills that are learned in school or even at an internship, they're not enough. But the real game is understanding the strategy, storytelling, and collaboration to get with others just to get the job done. So how can we fill this gap? And it's important, and we'll talk about this later, to expose early career researchers like Ilana to all levels of the organization, to more peers, mentors, executives early on, and how they can evoke emotions and skills like curiosity and collaboration. So I'll be talking about that as we go on. All of this is going to build communication agility. It's going to boost their confidence and really accelerate their ability to read the room, just like knowing your opponent's game in tennis, right, Ilana? So the key takeaway here is insight leaders, we need to really invest our time and resources into coaching and giving them the necessary skills for success. And why does this matter? So as we go through our story, you'll see how this doesn't just benefit the manager, Tina, but it also benefits the employee and analyst, Ilana, into having growth in their career. It's a true win-win and experience for both and for everybody.
Exactly. So let's take a closer look at what it is that I, like the rest of my generation, want and look for. According to a 2025 global study conducted by Deloitte, early career talent want on-the-job learning and practical experience, mentorship and guidance from experienced colleagues, and feedback and performance reviews. These are all things that my team, including Tina, helped provide, which I really attribute my success to thus far. And I'll be talking a little bit more about this as we go through the rest of the presentation to give specific examples of how these areas helped and how Tina helped fill this gap.
Thanks, Ilana. So now we're into setting up for success. So what are the core competencies that drive growth for Gen Z? And how could leaders like us best structure a skills framework development for their success? You know, what do we need to grow, and what do we need to give them to get them through and build their skills from the bottom up?
So in terms of building the foundation of a high impact player, these are the critical skills and competencies we believe are key. Really getting hands-on experience is the most effective way to keep developing these skills. And it's important to note that the onus is not just on the manager to get their employees involved in these more advanced projects. It's also up to the employee to raise their hand, ask questions, and take responsibility for their own career growth.
And let's just stay here for a moment, Ilana. Looking at all of these building blocks, data fluency, active listening, critical thinking, emotional quotient, you know, having the ability to think and act like your patients, right? Your healthcare professionals who are our targets, like all of these skills, we are able to work, you know, we work together and we build from the ground up. And there's a framework that we follow at Quest. And, you know, that framework is, you might have seen this before. You know, it's pretty common, the 70-20-10, where 70% is education-based, 20% is relationship-based, 10% is education-based. So experience-based, relationship-based, and education-based. 70%, I mean, you're going to come in likely with a lot of experience as an analyst, with knowing how to work through projects. You might have been in university where you had some hands-on experience in working with people. That's good, right? On having that project and understanding how to lead a project or complete a project is great. And that's a lot. That's just a large proportion. But also job shadowing, which is something we don't really think a lot about, which I've employed with others that have worked for me in the past, where Ilana would join me on a project, and she would shadow me through that from the beginning to end. She may have an active role in some parts. She may have a passive role where she's learning and understanding, because how else are you going to know how to work with a particular stakeholder, colleague on a project in the future if you don't see how they interact on a real life project? And I also had this opportunity when I worked on the agency side. I would just work on projects with other people, and I learned so much from another perspective. The relationship based, I think, is also really critical. Mentoring, and I'm not Ilana's mentor. A manager should be a mentor. I'm a guide, I can guide her, but I'm not a mentor. So helping your team be able to get people in your industry. There's tons of opportunities like Quirks and Insights Association and the and on Green Book, where you can go to network at conferences. It's great to find people that would be a good fit for you, to give you perspective. Giving feedback in the moment, 360 feedback is always critical. There's times for formal feedback, but there's also times where in the moment it may serve better than a week or two later when it's too late. Having that good relationship with your team and your analyst makes the world of a difference. And also getting them access to the networks, as I just mentioned. And then last, the education based, I think that's critical. Ilana came in as an intern. She did not have a background in market research. Her career trajectory had her coming in as an intern, then rolling onto a marketing leadership development program that I started at Quest. And she was going to pursue this marketing path. But as the market researcher, and also the one who kind of ran the program, I think market research should be like the first step in any marketer's pathway. Understand your customers, know your customers. We made it her foundation. She decided to stay in the field, which we're so excited about it. So getting that learning and education, which then she went on to take the market research course at University of Georgia, and she's got that solid foundation. And congratulations, Ilana, for passing the course. We're so proud of you. But doing that, and then also getting exposure to other leadership programs that are available really helps. So setting that development foundation early on, I think this is the crux of setting your analyst up for success.
100% agree. So now I'm going to walk you through 3 specific examples of things that I think really helped me develop those core competencies the most, and that follow the development framework Tina just described. So the first is the emphasis my team and managers place on long-term skills building. I'm sure you've all heard the expression, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. It's a bit of a cliche, but it couldn't be more true. One way I've been able to do this is through the class with the University of Georgia that allowed me the ability to learn and study more advanced analytical skills prior to working on these projects myself, as well as shadowing other projects like Tina just described. This brings me to my next point of hands-on experience. Having that set educational background through my class really allowed me to jump into more senior projects and gain that hands-on experience myself. There's really only so much you can learn in my opinion, by shadowing someone. And so, you have to start doing it yourself and actually gain that hands-on experience. So I think those two combined really helped accelerate my on-the-job learning. And then finally, the thing I do not think gets talked about enough is the concept of psychological safety. My team's done a great job of building a culture and providing me with a safe space, which gave me that push of encouragement I needed to go outside of my comfort zone and keep broadening and deepening my skills with these advanced projects.
So now that ends, we are back to the match. This all ties back to the long game we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. What we do early in their career is how we win the long game. The stronger the start, the longer they stay, and the further they go. This is about retention and trying to keep them with you. These words are the building blocks for success as well. We see storytelling, we see insights, we see market research, advancement, growth, learning by example, data, knowledge, and so forth. These are all the words that build their success. So keep them going, get them early. And this was the AI photo that I generated from a photo of Ilana and I. It kind of resembles us, maybe a little bit, but
A little bit.
it's kind of creepy too. But when early career talent feels coached, they're not just managed. They feel coached. They're not just managed, and they stay longer. They grow faster and bring more to the court or the table, if you will. Walk with them across the field, the metaphorical career. And retention really isn't just about good training. It's really about being seen. It's them being stretched, and it's them being supported. And that all of those attributes, the exposure that we've given Ilana to senior leaders and very early on, the exposure of her being in different types of projects, from qual to quant to competitive intelligence, and stretching your mind, we've given that opportunity to her. And then also that psychological safety net that she has. She knows that we're a team of 4 people, and our broader team is 7, 8 people, right? We all care about each other, and we lean on each other in good or bad. And I think this is so important for anybody's career. We happen to have it nice. I really love it. So how do we continue to coach these next generations? Well, these are the 4 plays that win the match. Ilana, might have touched on this, and I also, have some other thoughts, but that whole mentorship pairing, I talked about it before. Intentional matching across levels, it builds trust, context, and early support. Get someone from the outside, highly encouraged to help mentor. It gives, Ilana had a good mentor when we did this presentation in the past, and now she does this in her sleep, right? So it's just knowing how to talk to someone, somebody talking to you about things that work well for you works better than, in some cases, than me or her manager telling her how to do it. That real-time feedback, again, like in the moment, it really fosters a fail fast mindset, and it does accelerate learning. Because if I, say, oh, Ilana, when we did this project and you wrote the proposal, you missed a few things, and we need to make sure we cover on that. I'll tell that to her. We'll fix it quickly, get that out, and the project is back up and running. Every opportunity you have is not, don't look at it as negative, think of it as a gift. Learning in and out, there are tons of opportunities to learn outside of your own team. like the University of Georgia's market research program, going to conferences just like this. You're going to see projects that maybe don't even apply to your industry, that are going to help you think about your industry or your role in another way. Open your mind, stay curious, really critical, and that the learning continually flows beyond the desk. And then lastly, giving access to leadership. Whether you're shadowing someone to go to a senior meeting and being an observer, or working on a project that might be more strategic in nature and not more tactical, that something like you may be quick turns. I think this is important to get them involved early on, because it builds their confidence. It also helps them understand the bigger picture of actually the impact of the work they're doing behind the scenes into what is happening in the real world. And I cannot say, giving this early on, I did not have that opportunity very early on. And I wish I did, but I feel it's so critical right now. And don't think that they're going to embarrass themselves. They're not. Everybody's human, but believe me, with all these plays in the match, you're setting them up for success, not for failure. So what are our next steps and takeaways for us to give to you? The first one is, listen, go in with your eyes wide open and stay curious. Curiosity continually fuels growth. The best early career researchers, they really ask the questions, the why behind the what, and they go beyond what they're doing to help gain visibility into that big picture. And this is going to accelerate your learning by getting that exposure.
Secondly, mentorship and networking, as we mentioned, is critical. It gives you a fresh perspective and allows someone to kind of coach you and push you outside of your comfort zone. Secondly, like outside of your manager and team. So, next steps, if you are early career talent, you should really take advantage of all opportunities to network and gain mentors. And if you are a manager, you should really encourage your employees to attend conferences so they're able to meet others in the industry.
And then lastly, underscore, invest in your people early and often. I know sometimes you might not have physical budget. Like Ilana said, go to a conference or whatever. There's many free opportunities that you could take advantage of, but investing early in skills pays the dividends later. Whether that's the formalized training, which is reasonably priced, right? And getting that hands-on development, you'll keep them and it'll help them thrive. Maybe even on your own team, if you have a larger team, offer rotations. Let them get exposure to a different product or a service that your company offers. Or if you're on if you're in a corporation, if you're on the agency side, maybe a different manager. Let them work on a project with a different manager and a different team, because it's going to give them exposure to different styles. Because in real life, that's real life. You're going to be moving jobs and you're going to have different personalities and different leadership styles. And I think that's critical, because it's going to build that adaptability early on. And it really gives you varied perspectives and exposure to different methods, because somebody may have another way of analyzing or looking at a particular problem in a different way. And it will also strengthen their engagement and really, like I said, make them stay, because retention is critical. So with that, we say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and continue to ask us questions in the comments. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.